Exactly 1 year ago, I began a journey of making a commercial game with very little game dev experience. Mini Golf Tycoon started out as a little test project to see if I could make something that lasted longer than a game jam, and grew to be something I want to sell on Steam. Over time, the game, as well as my skills as a developer, have evolved to be something so much more than I anticipated. So let's jump right back in time to when the project started. This is the very first footage of the game ever, only recorded because I needed help figuring out a visual bug. It looks awful, but it's the earliest video I have to show you. The first build of Mini Golf Tycoon was very bare bones, with the basics of a building system in place and a couple of models. The UI was poorly designed, and there were seams between the meshes. It wasn't fun, had no interesting mechanics, and you really couldn't do anything in it. The second build introduced a basic golf mechanic, as well as some trees. You could spawn a golf ball, and to shoot it, you would click and hold. The ball didn't even bounce on the edges of the course. This also introduced a weird but satisfying bug that allowed the player to create really tall towers of balls by spamming E, and then watch them cascade down. It also allowed the players to fly by spamming E in the spacebar. After 2 days, I made another build that completely broke the placement checking system somehow, added icons to the menu, and had a creepy guest wandering around randomly. It's also when I started noticing a physics bug that ended up changing a massive part of the game. The following update simply changed the UI to include tabs as well as a new rock model. It also seemed to fix the placement checking for most objects. I'm not exactly sure what I did in version 0.05, other than that the balls acquired trails and became a lot more bouncy. This caused me to really notice the bounce bug over the seams of the meshes. That bug led to a pivotal change in the course of early development. I completely redid the building system to use splines instead of pieces. If I had only known that messing around with the rigid body settings would have saved me countless hours of work. Anyway, the next build had this new system in place, as well as a windmill model with a broken animation. I also added a notification system to the game. This new building system was not as good as the first one, even though I thought at the time it would be so much better. I did actually find a solution to the original bouncing issue by simply changing rigid body settings, but only because the bug was much worse with the splines. After the new splines were implemented, the next few updates were about improving that system. This one added a UI panel that allows the player to delete holes, change the smoothness, and rename them. It also allowed the player to create holes that the ball could fall into. A couple more models were added, and that was about it. This update only added a few things. There's now an entrance for the guest to enter your park from, a toggle that changes how things rotate, a broken Manage tab that doesn't do anything, and 4 pretty awful music tracks. And this was the last update of 2021. I got through a total of 9 versions, none adding very much or looking very good due to my lack of game dev skills. As you can tell, I was really trying to prioritize speed over quality and size. Updates in 2022 eventually became less frequent, but added a lot more quality improvements. On the very first day of 2022, I released an update with the beginnings of a time system. It added a very basic clock and a day-night cycle, as well as a lamp object. This was the first instance of me making a feature voted on by my Discord server, which you should totally go join, the link is in the description. On the 10th version, I finally decided to add a main menu. It started out very basic with just a white background and some spinning courses and a play button. It also added boost pads, the second ever Discord feature. About now is when I really started thinking about how I should make the game better and good enough to sell. I implemented a saving system that could save and load the game, and I used an asset called Easy Save 3, which really sped up the process. I also added a castle and created a new logo for the game that wasn't great, but was definitely an improvement. Now is when the updates get much further apart. I started getting burnt out a little and procrastinated more than I should have. I still do implement quite a bit per update, so let's just jump right into those. After about a month of work, I finally released version 0.12. This one included many changes to the guests, UI, models, playing golf, and the building system. The first major thing you might notice is the terrain. Instead of an ugly green square floating in space, I added mountains around it to make it feel more like an actual place. It really improved the feel of the game. I also completely overhauled the look of the guest by downloading an asset that made low poly characters. These give much more life to the people. I also remade the system for playing golf, and instead of using the first-person character, I made it so you're controlling the ball from a third-person view. It felt a lot better and was much easier to control. I also added an advanced move tool that allows for precise movement and rotation of objects. This update had quite a few more changes, but I don't want to spend too long on each version. This was the first instance of AI that could play the holes. It was very simple, could not handle elevation, and often got stuck. But it was a good enough prototype. I also added a system for money, so things could cost money to place and guests spend money when they enter the park or play holes. This also required me to make a sandbox mode for those who don't want to worry about being financially unstable, which also led me to making separate save games so you could adjust this setting when you create a new game. I took a pretty long break in March, not doing very much. There was an update on the 10th, but it was very small and simply improved the AI a bit and fixed some bugs. The following update was completely focused on the weather system. I added clouds and rain, which add a lot to the ambiance of the game. The entire update was based on just this Discord feature. At this point, I decided the Discord features were taking too much time away from the main development of the game, so I stopped doing them. I may decide to go back to doing them every so often, I'm not sure yet. This was around when I realized the error in my ways. I completely redid the building system for the second time. The splines were awful and limited creativity. I reverted to the pieces and it really changed how the game felt and looked. I must say it allowed for much more creativity than the splines. If I had kept the splines, I probably would have already lost motivation and started another project due to how terrible they were. This also marked the end of uploading free updates to itch.io because I wanted to start working on getting it ready for Steam. Since I was no longer updating the public version of the game, I didn't have as much motivation to put devlogs out, which really slowed development down quite a bit. I won't be exactly going by updates anymore, more just how the game changed over time. I started with improving upon the building system by adding some polish with a particle effect and animation when you place things, as well as organizing some code. It was also time to give the ugly UI a makeover. I made it much smaller and aesthetically pleasing by giving it an actual color palette instead of transparent black boxes. It looks so much better, and the game started feeling a lot more like an actual Tycoon game. I also added a desert environment, which added some more diversity to the game. The AI was completely redone for the millionth time and was improved drastically. It used physics instead of raycast and could make some insane shots. Paths, plots, more land, more objects, a core system, and more have been adding since the last update, and if you want to know more about those, watch the recent devlogs. This game's come such a long way, and so have my game dev skills. Without this project, I probably would not have such great knowledge of Unity and how to manage larger projects. I have lots of ideas for more games, and so next year after I release this game, development will slow down as I start working on another project. I'm not saying I'll stop working on this, but after most of the bugs have been fixed, the only things I'll be adding are more objects. Being a solo dev is a challenge, especially while juggling school and other aspects of life. When I started, I was not very good at game dev. I'm still not very good, but I feel like if I started a new project today, I would do it very differently from how I started Mini Golf Tycoon. I'm not going to give away my next project just yet, but I will say it is the same type of game that Mini Golf Tycoon is, and I'm very excited about it. Anyway, that is what 1 year of game dev looks like. It may not have been much, and I realize I probably could have released the game by now if I didn't procrastinate so much, but I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you're still here, you might as well subscribe. Bye.